0-0. Oh, and we have the lower bracket up again. So dramiS beat Chain 2-1. That is a surprising result as well, because I would possibly put Chain as the most consistent player, but we know what we say about dramiS. He has the highest picks, and he's just not very consistent. So it's good that he's able to find his consistency for enough time to be able to beat Chain. And ZenAku beat CNZ 2-0. So it's going to be dramiS versus ZenAku, a repeat of what happened in of our first game, I think, of the tournament that we streamed.
Yeah, I think it is as well.
ZenAku won 2-0, if I recall correctly. So maybe this time the things will go differently.
Yeah, the two lads from NA had to go against each other for top 4. Sadly, Chain did fall short. And, you know, he was very confident, hoping to make it as far as he could in this tournament, looking for first place. So a little bit deflated, but it doesn't matter. These things happen. I know dramiS was coming in flying, saying he's ready for this. He wants to come in and make an impact, and he has done already. And he will be playing against ZenAku in the losers semi-finals, which is coming up next.
So do you think the players, both dramiS and ZenAku, are relieved that ReyZ showed that he can actually lose right now, or worried that they have to go versus ReyZ?
Probably a bit worried.
Yeah, because they would probably rather go versus Maxter, but the way Maxter's playing, they would probably not go against him either. So I don't know, it's hard, because both ReyZ and Maxter would be really hard to go up against. But having to go versus ReyZ, even if you win the loser bracket semi-final now, is going to be in their minds for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be lingering in the back of minds as well, the fact that someone like Maxter was able to take down ReyZ.
Yeah.
And of course, neither matchup was clean at all. The first match was incredible. The last one was just nothing, you know, short of spectacular from what we saw from the very get-go, as Maxter just literally pulling everything out he could and just hitting the most disgusting rails we've seen in a very long time. So for now, though, we are going to maybe go to a break shortly. If not, we may actually go straight into the losers semi-finals, depending on the circumstances. And if we do, it will be against ZenAku versus dramiS.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that game, honestly. Who would you even favor? Because we've seen ZenAku beat dramiS in the first game of that we streamed on the tournament, but dramiS managed to beat Chain right now, and I don't know how he's feeling. We have to keep saying, like, dramiS has some of the highest peaks. He's just a very inconsistent player, but if he's feeling well, he can even reach the grand finals.
Well, this is it. I've said it so many times. dramiS is one of those players who's in the form on the side of all these top players. We've sometimes seen him beat the best of the best, and times where it has fallen short against some of the mid-tier players. It's very interesting how he does perform, but it looks like he is trying to make that losers bracket run. He's already defeated Chain earlier 2-1, so it's going to give him a lot of confidence continuing on in this loser bracket. Whoever wins this will go into the losers finals to face up against ReyZ.
Yeah, in the game earlier on versus ZenAku that they had, it was a 2-0 for ZenAku, but it was really close, if I recall correctly. dramiS started with a lead for both maps, and then just ZenAku, with his consistency, managed to eventually make the comeback and take the win. But dramiS started strong on both maps.
It was one of those matches where it could have gone 2-0 even for him, let alone for ZenAku. And especially on that Ruins map, where he had 5 minutes of full control, a huge stack, and ZenAku always able to keep his distance, good defensive rockets, always making sure to keep him guessing. He wasn't really that predictable, it was very hard to adapt against. So if he could adapt, he always put himself in a very awkward position and not really give him the easiest of shots. So there's a lot of little things here and there which made a huge impact in ZenAku's gameplay. But, you know, with these picks and bans this time round, it could be completely different from what we saw in their previous engagement earlier on yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. As you were talking about the Ruins, I remember ZenAku after the game, he actually apologized to dramiS, saying that that's not the playstyle that he liked to play, but that's the playstyle that he had to play to beat him in that part. And that's just go to show how well dramiS was playing on that particular matchup.
Yeah, I can understand his sentiment behind that. You don't like to play like that, you feel a little bit bad about it, but at the end of the day, if there's any way to get that W, you just need to crack on. I know it's not the nicest way to play with a very defensive manner, but you know, at that point, if your opponent's got all the items and not really giving you much room to kind of reposition or rotate in any way, shape or form, you have to play like that. And especially on a map like Ruins, you really have to. You have to force him into those choke points.
Exactly. You want to win. It doesn't matter if you're being super flashy about it. You don't have to be doing 360 rail shots to win. You just have to hit the shot, get the win, get the kill, and go home with the trophy.
Certainly will do indeed. So we were going to have the loser semis played on the B stream, but it looks like we'll be having it on the main stage instead, which is nice to see. Well, you know, more games for us to cast the main stream, the better. That's all we can say in this. Looking to try and finish, get setting up and ready to go. As we mentioned before, these two will be playing against each other for a spot at least guarantee themselves top 3, and we'll be facing against razY later on, and again that will be another best of 3, and then whoever goes from there will decide who faces up against myztro. So it's going to be a very tough call. I do agree that a lot of people who probably didn't see their previous matchup would assume that ZenAku is probably going to be the favourite to go into this, but people should be careful about how they predict this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's very hard to tell. I think out of like, if they play 20 times straight, I think ZenAku maybe could win like 15 of them, but it's those 5 times that the dramiS can win that you have to keep in mind, because he definitely can't do it. And the thing is, dramiS kind of have the same chances versus every single player in the world, whether it's versus Rafa or versus players that are closer to his skill level. He can beat anyone with the same kind of chances.
He certainly could. You know, with dramiS, sometimes he can be a momentum-based player, sometimes he'll just be on form and play really well naturally. There's a lot of different personalities around dramiS and how he performs, but he's been looking very good so far. And I do feel like defeating Chain, it's going to be a big confidence booster, knowing that he has a real chance to try and step his game up and even get a podium finish if possible.
Yeah, definitely. As we see players still on stage trying to setting up so we can get the game eventually underway.
Of course, it will take a little bit of time for them to get all set up and ready.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of the map choices, it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. Like, will ZenAku ban runes this time around? Will he keep it open? Is he going to, you know, change his champion picks on how he feels? Like, we're obviously not going to see the exact replica of what we're going to witness, because of course scrims and, you know, league matches are completely different compared to how you pick and ban in a tournament setting. So interesting to see what he changes up in comparison, and what may dramiS do, in all fairness.
I think ZenAku should basically go for the same map picks. Even if he didn't feel super comfortable on ruins, it's unlikely that someone that's like as inconsistent as dramiS can have the same exact performance and has dominating performance twice in a row on the same map, right? And plus, it's one of ZenAku's best maps. If he has a chance to play ruins, he should definitely go for it.
Well, the management at Dragonborn Esports are going to be very happy to know that at least one of the players has got bare minimum top 4. And depending on the situation of ZenAku, if he does manage to win this series, it will be potentially another team kill between razY and ZenAku in that losers finals. And it's just a bit of a shame. But you're right, though. It just seems like every single time, it doesn't matter which opponent that razY plays against, if it's Kilson or Rafa or whoever else myztro this time around, he always comes from that loser side. So it's going to could be a long night here, Inns.
It could be, and I'm fine with it. We're just going to see more Quake and more high quality matches, and all of them have been very exciting. So maybe we'll leave by Wednesday.
Probably at this point. But now that razY is going to be the one coming from the losers finals, that's if he makes it to the grand finals. I think whoever makes it from losers could definitely have a good chance of pushing it to a second best of 5.
Yeah, especially if it's razY. But at what point does that start to get under his head a little bit, right? Yeah. Because if he goes there again to the, and especially if he goes to the second best of 5, he's got to have that in the back of his mind, like, oh, I keep getting second, I want to get first this time around. Will that cloud his judgment going forward or not? We hope not, because we want to see the best possible razY versus the best possible Maxer, but it's something that's always open, you know, it can happen. The mind games, especially in the game as mentally demanding as Quake champions, they always happen. As we see razY walk out off stage now, after collecting his all of his gear, even showing up on the cam a bit.
But it's a shame though as well, it's never against the same opponent, is it?
Yeah.
Never. If it's not Rafa, if it's Kills. If it's not Kills, it's myztro this time
That's
around.
what tells me that's more of a mental thing, of some sort of a mental block, than a skill issue. Because he is the most consistent player in all of Quake Champions. He definitely has the skills to be the best Quake Champion players ever, because he's always there. He's always at the grand final. And now he's still not at the grand final, but there's a very good chance he will make it there again. So it's definitely not a skill issue. I think it would be some sort of mental block, maybe.
I think it is a mix of both. I think it's mental block to a certain degree, but also there's always one player who just plays the absolute A game. Like with Kilson, for example. On LAN, sometimes he has some great results, sometimes not so good. But this time around, because he was able to, you know, come out with those first couple of matches at QuakeCon, he just carried on with that momentum and just kept on flowing there with a very high morale boost. And razY knows that as well. And yeah, that's why I'm saying it's like more bit of both in comparison.
That's a good point as well. Because like razY, he has his form and he never drops below his form. And usually the only person he will lose against is whoever is on their best day, and it's usually a random player on each tournament, right? Because that's how the players usually are. They're not that consistent, but when it comes to the consistent skill, razY is always there. We've never seen like the best razY, but we always see razY on like his B game, And his B game is better than almost everyone's A game, but then there's always one guy that brings out his S game.
Exactly, yeah. It comes out as an S tier player. They'll put him like, I don't know, B or C on the tier list, and then on this one event it'll be S.
Basically that. I think that maybe that's more, maybe that's a better explanation.
Yeah, it's like, you know, Raph has had his, you know, time in the sun for a few years, and, you know, he's definitely, as well, like one of the best players in Quake Champions we've had. Kilson had this moment at QuakeCon this year, and now Maxter could have his moment here at KeenCon.
At the one last year.
Yeah, of course, Wenger as well back in 2021.
It's always a different one, and Raze is still maintaining his shape. And now, right now, it's Maxter getting his S-tier form at this tournament. And Raze, he's just, I think he's more like just has to deal with the circumstances.
Yeah, I do think for Raze though, his time will come. It could be this event, it could be another event, but it will happen. It's just, of course, if you could name the players which could be, you know, a bit of a barrier to either stop him from getting to the grand finals or stop him from getting first place. Those 4 players we've just spoke about in terms of Wenger, Rafa, as well, Maxter and Kilson, it always seems to be the same pack.
Yeah, because those are the ones that one of those is likely to, you know, bring their best game. Because with the others, they would have to bring not only their best game, but their best game on a lot of consistent matchups. Because usually you're going to bring like if your S form is going to happen, it's going to be on 1 or 2 matches. But for someone, for example, like dramiS to bring his S match, he would have to have it throughout like 5 different matchups. And if one of those matchups he only brings his A game, his A game might not be enough to beat Kilson on his B game, for instance.
Yeah, I completely agree with that as well. So at the moment, losers semis is going to be coming up shortly. ZenAku and dramiS is currently setting up. It will be a best of 3. They will be going for the picks and bans shortly as well whilst they get prepared. Winner of this will be playing against Raze in the losers finals, and then whoever wins that will be playing against Maxter in the grand finals, as we just had that winners finals, one of the incredible winners finals we just witnessed there. If you didn't watch it, make sure you go back and watch it. That second map was definitely a doozy and definitely went all the way to the wire on the Awoken earlier on, but we're going to see exactly what's going to happen in this matchup. It's still reason why a lot of people at home are probably thinking, why is this so hard to predict compared to what we've compared to their previous match in terms of their history of playing against each other. It's just the fact that dramiS could have defeated ZenAku 2-0 before. It was that close. It was just almost impossible to kind of predict exactly how far these two are going to go. But now dramiS does have a second chance against ZenAku here, but ZenAku also wants to try and make an impact here. He wants to be the one who makes the grand final. He really wants to try and win and to do everything he can. He's also one of those, he's not the most flashy player, but he's definitely one of the most consistent players out there as well.
Definitely. When it comes to consistency, I think both Raze and ZenAku are the best examples of that. They're not that flashy, as you said, but ZenAku is the kind of player that doesn't really make many mistakes. And if some player is having like a good run for a couple of minutes, as it happened versus dramiS, ZenAku won't let that affect him, and eventually he will get back on track and start getting some frags for himself. He knows how to get back in control, he knows how to get his frags, he knows how to take advantage of bad situations, and his consistency usually shines through. And I think ZenAku will really step up once if he would get to the grand finals, for example, and win this event. I think that would give him a much needed confidence boost to really step him up to basically raise his level.
Yeah, because ZenAku does flare up on a server on the odd occasion, not as often compared to everyone else, but he's the kind of all-round player with his fundamentals and mechanics. He would rather limit the errors in his way rather than some flashy plays. He doesn't go for high-risk, high-rewards, but he goes for what he feels is right and what is correct, or it goes more by percentages and what he should be doing and not be doing. We know that last year he was trying to find his footing or trying to find his style in terms of his perfect balance. We know that there's some issues where he was a little bit too passive to secure some of his frags. We're not seeing that as much anymore, which is brilliant. It's just a little bit more towards the ends of some of these maps, which of course he's still looking to correct, but the main thing is ZenAku's on the right path. Yeah,
definitely, and he's again one of the players that has grown the most ever since being part of the Quake Pro League. Ever since he moved to Europe and qualified, he has grown so much. I still remember, because I've been away from Quake for a while, and I remember how he was basically my level, maybe just below it when he just qualified for QPL.
Okay.
And in 4 years now, I don't think I can even get 2 frags in a row versus him in duel. He just grew so much, and he's became an unstoppable player.
Yeah, ZenAku has a huge amount of determination to be not only one of the best, but the best player here. He's done everything he can. Of course, He's moved, you know, from Australia to Poland at one point now in the UK, looking to try and do everything he can to continue his progression as a player. We constantly asking for feedback, constantly trying to improve his game one way or another, even by the smaller things outside the game to everything he can do inside the game. And this is what I love to say. I love players like this who've got a huge amount of devotion and dedication to the game and not lipping up at all. Even during the off-season, he will make sure to try and make sure he's fully and well prepared, because you remember with Pro League round the corner once again, and now with his KeenCon as well, and all these LAN events popping up here and there during the off-season. It's great to see, and obviously great for a lot of these players, because it does mean even though there is an off-season, you got to watch out for these LAN events, which you got to keep yourself, you know, not to get too rusty and to make sure to be in prime position to continue to compete.
Yeah, and I think ZenAku's passion for Quake is definitely one of the things that allows him to motivate himself and reach greater heights. You can see his passion even in his tattoos. He has a Stroke tattoo and he has an Athena tattoo as well. I think he's the only player with Quake tattoos that's playing here today, and that really shows his passion over the game. I would like to get a tattoo, but the thing is with tattoos, I think if I got one, I would have to get 20. Right?
20?
Yeah, as soon as I get one, because like I want to get one, but I don't know what I'm gonna get. But as soon as I get one, I think I will want more.
You'll start off with one and then it ends up being like 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I can understand that.
So I'm delaying it as much as I can.
Yeah, we are. And we're obviously just delaying little bits at the moment. Thank you for your patience at the moment. We're just waiting for this losers semi-final to get underway, making sure both players are ready and prepared to go straight in and rumble and to see who's going to make it into the losers finals. Again, this will be a best of 3 if you're just joining us. We've only got 4 players left in the competition. Max is just currently waiting in the grand final, sitting pretty. He's going to be watching all these matches back as well to see exactly if there's anything he can pick up on in order to make sure to counter what is going to be happening later on this evening. And the good thing for Maxter, he is 1 best of 5 away. 1 for sealing the deal and win a championship of his own, and also for his opponent, it's going to be 2 best of 5s, but it's going to give Maxter some breathing room.
Yeah, he needs to lose 3 maps in 1 set to not win the tournament, and so far he hasn't lost a single map. So I think he's 3 maps away from winning the tournament. And as we're talking about like previous results, are you surprised in any way that Shane has dropped out of the top 4?
Yes and no. Like with Chain, he's someone who can go really far, or there could be that one person who could be like, you know, the kryptonite. This time it was actually dramiS, and it's like I said, I've talked about dramiS quite often with the fan, but he's beaten the best of the best, and sometimes he's struggled against some players in top 12, top 8 area. It really is just how he feels on the day, but so far it looks to be looking pretty good so far. Sadly, I didn't get the chance to watch that matchup because we were actually casting the winners finals at the exact same time.
Yeah,
so
but we heard the match.
But we heard how crazy it was going. I thought I might have missed something on the screen whilst we were casting the winners finals earlier on, but of course that was dramiS defeating Chain earlier on. I would love to know the scorelines as well, but to see exactly what happened, but we'll keep you guys updated with that anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, I thought Chain would be the confidence that he seemed to have, and with how calm he is when he plays. He's just, you don't see any emotion from him usually, only at the end. I thought he could go further, maybe even reach the grand finals, but it seems that dramiS was his kryptonite this tournament.
Certainly has been. It could be others. The way he's playing at the moment, just thinking about how they're both going to do, just quite chill, just looking to see exactly how they're going to perform this time round. It's going to be a long road for both these players, we know that. We've got to go through 2 best of 3s and potentially 2 best of 5s. So a lot of maps, a lot of series to go through. It's going to be very tough, but it has been done before, but only on rare occasions. But these guys do have the potential to do it.
Yeah, we can either be 3 maps plus... I'm bad at maths, okay?
We could be looking at 16 maps.
There we go. We could be 16 maps away, or 5.
Yeah.
From the tournament finish.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's not 16. It's 5 plus 5 plus 3.
3-3, but if there's 2 best of 5s from losers side, it's 16.
Yeah, there's still the loser bracket final. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, you're right.
To be fair, my maths is normally worse on broadcast than it is off broadcast, but this time it actually went too bad. But
the only math I'm good at is timing.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm very good at timing.
So you can do 2x5 and 2x3, but you can do like all the timings like straight up. But I suppose it's, you know, it's your natural niche, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. And it's really easy to time. I mean, it's just plus 30, or back in other Quakes was plus 25 or plus 35. Or if you want to be, you know, weird about it, was plus 25 or minus 25.
Yeah, it depends how you see it. It depends how you see it, isn't it, really? Yeah, even though going back to 30-30, some people were a little bit, you know, not shaken, but it's just off-putting because I've been so used to 35-25 in the past.
Yeah, but the 30-30 for me, I don't even time. It's the same because for 20 it's 50, right?
Yeah.
It's you just divide the clock in two, and it's the same number.
You don't even need to think about it, really.
Yeah.
Like you may.
The hard part is memorizing, right?
Yeah,
the hard
exactly.
part is memorizing.
Like back then, like you probably you think about it maybe for like half a second, but literally you don't even need to think about it for even a split second, really. Do you? So. But enough about timings anyway. We'll go back to the loser semis as they're both still getting ready to prep up and get themselves sorted. Now,
yeah, they're getting ready to do the picks and bans, so we should get that underway shortly.
Yeah, that'll be lovely. Now, how do you feel how the picks and bans are going to go? Do you think it's going to be quite similar to what we witnessed, just due to the fact that they feel like it could be a completely different story?
Yeah, I mean, ZenAku shouldn't have to change his picks and bans because he won the game. And dramiS shouldn't feel like he had to change because he had a really good chance of winning the game, and it wasn't the picks problems. It was just, maybe some nerves at the end or some inconsistency in his gameplay, but not the picks problem.
It was just, that's what I put it. It was very, very situational, wasn't it? I think that was the only issue. Like, we talk about some things which, couldn't really help himself in certain scenarios, and he couldn't really help himself in other ways either. It was that close. It was, we could be nitpicking at very few moments here and there, but it's what we can say is that dramiS needs to be careful with the fact that ZenAku, his defense is very strong and it's been looking very good. We've seen it against dramiS earlier, and we especially saw it against ryze as well, and we saw how close that series was. Yeah,
and ZenAku is just a hard player to crack. He does virtually like no mistakes. His only mistakes are like missed opportunities, right? When he can go forward and he doesn't, and that eventually, at this level, those missed opportunities turns into mistakes. But those are basically the only kind of mistakes he does.
That's why defensively he's always been looking so good, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Sometimes he'll create the opportunities, but you can't get there in terms of the window of timing. And even when that happens, that's when you think, oh, I could have, sealed that frag there. Oh, I could have done this. Or, even the last segments of both maps against ryze, especially on the first map on Deep Embrace, when ryze dropped down that murder hole, he could have slid in. He had the mobility there and could have cleaned that up. Or, even with that second, even on the second map,
I guess
a little bit similar.
He thinks of the game in like a very risk-free way. And sometimes that doesn't allow you to see all the opportunities of frags that you could have had. And that's something that, for example, ryze is completely fine with. He knows how to balance all of the risk, and he has that killer instinct. When he sees that he can get a frag, when he smells any hesitation, he goes in and gets the job done.
It's key word there, it's hesitation. Any kind of hesitation, that's 1 or 2 seconds gone, and that's probably the only window you really had in terms of being able to get things fixed anyway. So we're just waiting for ZenAku to come back. He'll be back very shortly as well. dramiS is still just, in his zone, as you could say, just trying to get himself ready at the moment, and then we'll be joining back shortly as well for this losers semis. But this is it now. We've only got 3 matches left to go, but in terms of, we spoke a lot about the match itself and what could be occurring, but in terms of predictions, how do you feel this is going to turn out from what you saw previously yesterday?
Well, now that dramiS is wearing the KeenCon cap, I think he's going to win, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's going to give him a massive skill boost.
You reckon that's giving the edge, yeah?
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. to a certain point, definitely. As Zen has returned now, and he will be getting himself sorted and ready. But I think you're right though. Like with the picks and bans, I don't think either player really needs to change anything. They could throw something. They could throw a complete spanner in the works.
It would be cool if they do, just to throw the other player off guard a little bit, just to go in a little bit of a surprise. I would like to see like a scale bearer from ZenAku, or maybe like dramiS playing the Slash?
Well, these two players used to be totally different during their first years of Pro League. You've got to remember, ZenAku used to be the kind of player who massively favoured the heavy champions.
We're getting underway with the picks and bans.
Oh, okay. Wasn't too sure it's going to be live or not this time round. It was meant to be just for the losers, winners and grand finals, but we're going to get the losers semis as well, which is going to be lovely.
ZenAku banning Ruins.
Can you blame him though to a certain point?
Yes, I can. I can blame him. I'm blaming him for banning Ruins. And dramiS banning Insomnia, so it's time for ZenAku to pick a map. Goes for Awoken, okay. And dramiS, wonder what he will pick.
Yeah, I'd be interested what's going to be picked next. Yeah,
if I were dramiS, I would probably pick something like Blood Covenant, because he's someone who's really good at railing and fast champion movement. So even if ZenAku bans Strog or Slash, he should have one of them. He goes for the Veil, okay. So he'll have to ban the Scale Bearer for sure. Yeah,
he may even ban on Awoken just in case, but we'll have to see how he goes about that, because he knows that Zen does love to play a scale. Of course, scale and Veil name a better combo at this point, even in a land setting rather than online. So the next ban is coming in next from Zen. He decided to ban Blood Covenant, as that was the one you were suggesting, but Zen was like, nah.
That's the one I want to see, because we haven't seen Blood Covenant yet.
No,
and these players not catering to our needs. We're gonna finish on a Deep Embrace, alright.
So with the ban coming in and the choice from dramiS, either Deep Embrace and Corrupted Keep, I can totally understand with Corrupted Keep being banned. It's not really his cup of tea, especially with the rail heavy plays which dramiS sometimes makes with his reactionary style. And we're going to go to the champion style, so we're going to see what gets banned first. It will be the Strog from Zen, and we're going to see
Zen bans the Strog so that he bans the Slash on the last map. So that dramiS will not be allowed to play his best champions. So that's very smart. And dramiS, what will he pick for Awoken? Possibly, the Athena as well, right? dramiS is really good at the Athena.
And the question is,
I would leave the Athena though for open, so that at the end of Deep Embrace that ZenAku has to ban either the Athena or the Slash, and dramiS could go with one of them. But dramiS is really good at the Athena at Awoken as well. So Athena versus Ranger on Awoken, that's an interesting one. It's very dangerous for the Athena player.
Surely this is going to be a scale ban for dramiS. Yes, okay, it is. There we go, straight away. And, Slash is still available. We've seen Slash being played by myztro and Razy in the past on Deep Embrace. We know that dramiS loves his Slash. If he loves it on Deep Embrace, that could be another story here. Zen just getting ready to pick his next champion to decide what's going to happen. I suppose he's had to wait a little bit. I think he definitely knew that Scale is most probably going to get banned, so he's going to go for the BJ pick.
Okay. He's expecting probably a Sorlac from dramiS, but I think upon seeing the BJ, dramiS will have to either go for a Nizen, Galena, or something else entirely.
We've seen kill rarely, but do you want to do it on land?
Not against the BJ. Yeah. Especially not against the BJ. That's a tank buster, right? You just got to go with something else. Something that's more consistent throughout. And there's the Galena. Okay, the more sensible pick. And now the ban should be an easy Slash ban here for ZenAku.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember when the last time we saw dramiS play as Slash on Deep Embrace. I'm pretty sure we have done in the past and in the history books, but let's see if he does ban it or if he does ban something else entirely different. Of course, we've still got a few champions available, still got the Doom as well available. Slash, we mentioned it in the past. As it will be the Anarchy ban.
Okay, I don't know. Either ZenAku has a master plan or he got it under his own head a little bit now. And there's the Slash ban.
Straight away.
What are you going to do to counter this, ZenAku?
How long did that take him to select the Slash? Like, literally less than 5 seconds?
Yeah, he's like, he's going to give me the Slash, I'm just going to run with it. And ZenAku is now wondering, why did I leave the Slash open?
Yeah, it's interesting. But, Anarchy and Slash, they're two good picks for Deep Embrace. But yeah, I can understand, of course, having a Slash banned instead. But
he has to go,
ZenAku now needs to decide exactly.
He has to go with the Nyx, right? It's got to be the Nyx. Either the Nyx or a Doom. Something like that, because there's not much else. He goes with a Sorlac. Okay, that Sorlac is fine as well for Deep Embrace, honestly.
But it does mean that dramiS is going to, again, heavily have to keep his distance and really be careful and take an element of caution on how he's going to progress with that Slash as well.
It's a good thing that the Sorlac was still there in the pick, or I would be a lot more worried for ZenAku.
Yeah, like Doom's... He's not bad, but he's not great either. He's okay. Yeah. I think that's the best way of putting it. He's okay.
If there's no fast champion anymore, then Doom is fine. There's nothing special about it. He's just fine.
But looking at the pick so far, we'll be keeping a close eye on that first map with the Athena pick coming out.
Yeah, that one is going to be very rough for the Athena, because Athena, dramiS is going to be zooming all over the place. We're trying to get a quick rail in to try and eventually push, but ZenAku, he might as well just stand in one place with shotgun out, right? Yeah. He doesn't want to show up, he just wants to stand in one place with rocket or shotgun to try and hit the rocket to orb combo. That will be his plan, basically.
Certainly will be. So we'll be going on the first map, we'll be on Awoken, it will be ZenAku as the Ranger, and it will be dramiS playing as the Athena. We'll have to see how that is going to turn out. There's a lot of pros and cons in this matchup. dramiS obviously just coming off that 2-1 win over Chain earlier on in the losers quarters, now moving to losers semis. ZenAku, going to see how this is going to pan out. The last map is very interesting itself. The fact we're going to have the Sorlac versus the Slash is not a combo we've seen deep embrace, well, a common trend, you could say. You know, in terms of meta picks and stuff like that. But, you know, one of his favourite champions being Slash as well, even though it's not on Ruins, you know, deep embrace is pretty much the next best thing for him.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the starting stack as well, and how clean he can get some of those frags with the Slash.
I think ZenAku either wins this 2-0 or he loses this 2-1. Yeah, because if you go to the third map, I think dramiS is just based on the Slash pick and how good dramiS is with the Slash, and the fact that it's a very open map. Starlag's biggest weakness is, you know, that he's very susceptible to being railed. And Slash, dramiS on the Slash, that's all he's going to do to you. He's going to rail you from every single angle. So I think if it does go to the third map, ZenAku almost loses that by default unless he plays out of his mind. The other two maps is where ZenAku really has to give it his all.
He certainly will do, as we're now heading into the loser semi-finals. This will be a best-of-3 between ZenAku and dramiS. Whoever's going to win will be facing razY in the losers finals later on. And yeah, some very interesting picks coming out from both these players. Actually totally different compared to the previous series they had yesterday.
Do you think ZenAku will be upset if he loses versus the champion he has tattooed in his arm?
Might be getting it removed.
Just replace it with Nyx.
Maybe, as we're now going to head into this first map. Starting off from ZenAku's POV, already picked up the Mega, gone straight for the light as well. Hasn't got any weapons in his arsenal, just prioritising the items straight away. Picks up the Shoddy and the rail as well.
Yes, shotgun, he doesn't need anything else.
That's it.
Just stay there. Okay, we see him try to move on to center map. He also has that rail, which I'm not... I think dramiS spawned at the rail, so ZenAku getting the rockets as well. Now he has everything he needs to stop Anathema. Staying at the center map. Mag is about to spawn. dramiS will be trying to collect the heavy for himself instead. No shot has been landed. ZenAku just really waiting on the angle and not able to hit it just yet. Back on the center map, just trying to listen out for some cue. Oh, good rail by dramiS. Somehow found an angle there, and the rails are starting. I like ZenAku's speed there, because if dramiS will... Oh! The orb might come into play very soon.
And he could do indeed, waiting for him to go back through that choke point. He decides to back down anyway. ZenAku
knows the delay. The Mega. Nice. Knew exactly the timing of Heavy and should be able to collect both of the items. dramiS hanging around a little bit too long, but he knew he needed some damage to prevent ZenAku from pushing him right now. Does he have the hook? He doesn't. Oh, he does have one hook. That's going to save him.
That definitely saved his backside. Now ZenAku just looking to recover just a little bit here. Just eat up the lights as he pushes up for that next Mega. Will be up in 4 seconds. dramiS already top mid to try and contest in some way. Good use of the tri-bolt there. Did a fair amount of damage, but doesn't stop the fact that ZenAku does pick up the Mega. It's got the high ground now to try and raise some rockets down there, but let's be honest, he didn't really have much rocket ammo anyway. I only had one, I think, if I remember rightly. And now he's going back to top mid, and he's going to try and rotate back around, looking to see if he's dropped back down, which he has not. As both players are just a bit of mind games here and there at the moment, trying to, you know, lightly contest some of these items whilst going back for their own. So both of them are top mid. ZenAku has replenished his rocket ammo from earlier on, heading towards top mid. Good first rail though. He now jumps back at that choke point, but does pick up the Mega whilst consuming another rail coming up from ZenAku.
3 in a row versus Athena, that's not easy to do, and dramiS is actually railable there. He's still hanging around. ZenAku might just go through the choke point. Oh, and he hits the rocket. Not direct, but he does a significant amount of damage. And here's more, and the frag might come very soon. And there it is, the frag with the orb to finish it up. I was very surprised to see dramiS hang around for so long there.
Yeah, I was as well. Good use of the shotgun from Zen. Used the orb just for extra insurance. 2.5 minutes in, Zen gets his first frag, picks up the Mega. Heavy's coming up in the next 5 seconds. Perfect position at the moment to rain down any rockets if dramiS does play it quite aggressively towards the Heavy, but does more than enough damage to keep dramiS at bay. Could be rotating back around top mid, which he has done, looking to be a little more aggressive, not before consuming that last rail from dramiS.
Nice, I see. Oh, dramiS can finish, get a kill now, and ZenAku trying to go for the orb to go faster, but the orb does not go any faster than that it is, but ZenAku spawns right next to the Mega to be able to collect it. dramiS still playing on basically nothing, still railable. Oh, he catches the health just before he's able to die, and ZenAku doesn't care, he just keeps hitting. And I'm finally seeing dramiS starting to use his hook more and trying to go for weirder rail angles, and that's really what he wants to do. And this time around, trying to go, using the hook to go for an LG fight, not quite working in his favor. ZenAku, whose rail keeps hitting.
Yeah, this is exactly what he needed to do, but dramiS now on the back foot, Could be trapped in the corner. Still has a hook in hand though. Isn't available anymore. It's that 4-minute mark. Nice little bit of damage there with the rocket. At least he's got the info he needs as well. Can be going back around, but nice rail again from Zen, leaving dramiS on 10 HP. And he's actually orb straight through, and I like how he delayed the orb a little bit to make dramiS think maybe he's coming through, maybe he's not, just making him second guess. But you know, in the end, takes him down. Nice clean frag there coming out from Zen.
Yeah, good mind games there by ZenAku, getting under dramiS' skin a little bit as well. ZenAku so far seems to be playing really well, because Ranger definitely has the advantage in close range, but with all of the rails that ZenAku has been hitting, he seems to be having the advantage in long range too. So dramiS not given much leeway to perform with.
Oh, and good rail. And good shoddy to follow up as well. 4-1 now in favor of Zen.
If he misses that rail, dramiS gets the mega and potentially a kill. ZenAku has been landing all the rails that he needs to. And getting frag after frag.
This is exactly it. And considering how small Athena's hitbox is, Zen still tracking very well. Just at the halfway point now. Zen's looking to see if dramiS is still running that rail area. He was, picking up the bubble and the light. Hits with the first railroad, going through the TP. Zen knows that he may be rotating around to potentially push for this heavy. Nice amount of damage from that last rocket. He's going to look to see if he goes over top mid, which he makes a very good read. Heavy will be up in the next 5 seconds though, is Zen going back all the way around to see if he's an LG. If not, doesn't matter, he's going to be performing forward. But the only problem is that dramiS has picked up the heavy. Looking to back away again.
The pace of the game is now very slow, and I'm hoping we see Razy. Not yet.
That'll be later.
Yeah, dramiS is starting to, you know, go for weirder and weirder rail shots, just trying to find angles where they don't exist, because that's what Athena is really useful for. But as you can see, he's already trying to go, but it's still ZenAku landing all of the shots that he needs to. Every time dramiS tries to go for an angle, okay, he hit one that ZenAku didn't reply with, and he pushed immediately. Can he actually get the kill? There it is, dramiS. Some good hook play there.
Trying to throw him off with the orb. Sadly wasn't able to. But it does give dramiS a little bit of leeway here into this matchup. Only a 2 frag deficit. Comes in with a hook. Nice amount of damage. 59 there around that angle. Still got 3.5 minutes left remaining. Doesn't need to, you know, overextend, push too hard or anything like that at all.
I thought he almost
I was thinking about that as well, but
the pillar was there to save him.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. We'll say that was perfectly timed. And yeah, we're trying to see if anyone's top mid was not. He's already on the mega. And depends on how dramiS is going to approach this. Can't really hit anything in the moment. And it's actually pushed in quite hard. It's actually overextended and then caught off guard.
He completely got lost track of ZenAku there. ZenAku dropped as soon as dramiS wasn't looking at him.
Oh, lovely LG there from Zen, just to keep him on the ground and keep hold of that height advantage.
A little bit of a missed time by ZenAku. It's heavy, the one item spawning right now, and if dramiS is fast enough, he might get to the mega on time. Oh, I think he missed the jump, right? Because he went lower to the light armor instead. Yeah,
I think I have to agree with him, because he had the stack as well, and I think he had a feeling that Zen may have mistimed this, but in the end, Zen is the one with a slight stack advantage here.
2.5 minutes to go, and it's all on dramiS' hands. Here he comes, he avoids most of ZenAku's damage from what we see on ZenAku's screen. Does a little bit of damage. ZenAku just trying to play as defensive as possible, because this is really hard, right? To chase a ranger, especially when he has the orb. ZenAku's trying to land the shot, but it's really hard to land hit on Athena, and he does land the combo, but dramiS he's escaped with virtually nothing, and with 15 seconds to go for a major item to spawn, dramiS needs another 20 seconds to stack back up.
Yeah, if Mega was come up a little bit sooner, then wouldn't have been too bad, but it's pretty much back to his default stack almost.
But ZenAku not pressuring the heavy at all, just allowing it to go for dramiS. Mega, okay, he has to go for the mega, he does get the mega. And dramiS, I think it was actually good for him that he missed the first hook.
Yeah.
Else he could be in a lot of trouble. ZenAku now getting the orb back up. And ZenAku, with 90 seconds to go, we can try to play, you know, the very, very close range game. Because if dramiS goes very close, even if he has a lot of stack, it's very hard for Athena to get the kill without dying in the process. against the Ranger in this orb.
He certainly could with his defensive rockets and rails. There's no reason why he can't, but dramiS has caught him there. Nice little 70 from that last rocket. You can see where Zen is going to go to next. He goes straight through. He's going to check his top mid. This is witness for Zen's actually picked up that light. He's going to try and dive straight on in. A perfect direct there from dramiS to try and clean this up. He's going to go back around to see if he can try and finish off Zen. This is the perfect opportunity to try and get that full frag. He actually baits out the orb. Doesn't fall through in the end. Took the cues about the LG. Does it in the end. Now a 1 frag deficit. And in all fairness, that frag wasn't too bad. He's still got a decent stat to continue with the pressure. Yep. Mega's come up in the next 5 seconds as well. But then again, so is the heavy. But decides to try and prioritise for the kill instead. And looks like he will be getting that heavy.
Yeah, and ZenAku still know the timing of the Mega, so some stack to play with. But dramiS using the hook to get close, and he gets the second kill and tying up the game.
That was so risky. A lot of players were like, why would you even try and attempt that? But the thing is, though, if it's not expected, then this is the situation. You know, Zen is normally one of those players who expects all types of surprises, but that was one. Wasn't expecting too much. Just a little bit unprepared for that, but there was some great rockets to trap him into that corner. Oh, that wasn't hourglasses, but this is looking really good for dramiS so far. And you know that dramiS is the kind of player who will not hesitate at all. He can spell blended and water. Good use of the orb. Comes out with a shotgun, and Zen manages to get it just before sudden death was going to be initiated. And ZenAku, my man, will be going through after that first map. I think going into the second now, and this is going to be a doozy of a series already.
I think dramiS got a little bit too excited with the 2 frags before that one, because ZenAku had just picked up the Mega, right? He has good enough stack to, you know, tank 2 rockets, and then he has the orb on top of that. And dramiS, that was his last hook as well. There was no more escape route. That was a full-on close-range commit versus a Ranger that has enough stack to tank 2 rockets and has the orb. I definitely think he got a bit overexcited for that one.
Bit too excited to that degree. Yeah, I can understand that. I think you could see what his game plan was. I think he wanted to try and like hook on up and try and make something happen. But the problem as well, you know, he had orb in hand. He already had the perfect weapon selection as well. He was ready for it.
It wasn't even surprising because he just did it in his face. If he came from another angle, maybe ZenAku wouldn't expect it. But ZenAku was watching him hook onto him. So yeah, I think a bit of overcommit there by dramiS costing him that map, but again, a very close series between these two.
It sure was. And it wasn't like foresight or good reads. It's like you said, he saw it happening. It wasn't like he had to predict anything or something like that. It was, you know, just a shame that play didn't work out for him. We know the play works beautifully to tie the lead earlier on with those rockets coming up from Mega to try and trap him, but this time round, Sandy was just a little bit too predictable, and this time round, Zen was more than prepared because he knew that something like this could happen once again after picking up the Mega.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how much health and armor ZenAku actually have before and after that frag, and as we'll see in the replay, we'll see it in just a bit. This is the 3-1 frag. And here is ZenAku just trying to, you know, extend his lead. This was a really good push, for instance, because the creativity of those hooks was really good, but ZenAku landed a really cool rail shot that didn't allow dramiS to keep pushing.
Yeah, some of the shots during the first 5 minutes Zen was hitting was just ridiculous. Athena's, of course, not the easiest champion to consistently have a high accuracy on no matter what weapon you have, and yeah, you saw that was the
when he lost track of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't too sure on the exact whereabouts, and this is again another moment coming out from dramiS. Even though he took a lot of damage, but that's from the rockets, the orb as well. And this is another one where from the direct, he knew could try and close this out. Charged his orb again, tried to fake him out, but dramiS just did not fall for it. He was more than ready to continue on with that engagement. And yeah, definitely could have gone either way. It was extremely close to it. And I was very impressed by this one, even though a lot of players would be like, you know, get annoyed and why did you make that move?
174 to 80. Oh, okay, so he had, as we saw, he had enough health and armor. How much is 174 plus 80?
174 plus 8, 254.
That's amazing. So 254, enough to tank 2.5 rockets.
Yeah.
I don't think the thing can even get up to 274. Probably can or can't.
Depends on the circumstances, really.
Yeah, but it's really hard for the light champion to even have that old total stack, especially when you have the orb. But now we're going on to Vale of Pnath, and it's going to be dramiS rocking the Athena against ZenAku's BJ. Much more balanced match all around this time.
So it will be indeed. I've noticed we've been seeing a lot of BJ picks coming out on Vale, but Galena has been as standard as they come. Not really say a counter, but just, you know, a sensible, confident pick. for any player coming in. So at the moment, dramiS, very tiny stack lead. 3.5 second difference between the items. dramiS now just trying to get all the weapons in his arsenal, but it's Zen with the high ground, or did have the high ground, well still technically does, just hovering around the LG to see if he can get a little bit more damage done, which he has. Now on 89 HP, still relevant, but the problem is still hits him with that rail, just keeping his distance. That was a great rail to keep himself alive.
Oh, he's going to be able to get the Mega after landing that beautiful rocket as well. So dramiS already trying to predict ZenAku's movements. Will he get him? ZenAku very close to actually going down to the lower, and if he does, dramiS is completely ready for it. Is it gonna happen? Oh, it doesn't happen in the end.
Yeah, dramiS is like, yeah, forget that. Let's just make a little bit of noise with the rocket and try and drop down and try and get away. But he has the overstack very early. Good rails as well straight afterwards. Heavy is all being picked up. Mega will be out in the next second. Not like, oh, I was going to say, not like dramiS needs it. He definitely needs it now after that last rail. Perfectly well timed. And at some stage, you can see as well, the way dramiS is playing, he's taking the same routes every time, so we can defend the totems, but also consistently pick up the hourglasses and just continue with that stack. And at some point, Zen's going to be thinking, you know, like, how many totems has he got up? How much has he recovered and replenished his health?
It's only been 3 minutes, and he's picked up like 7 megas.
Technically,
because of the totems.
Technically, he has done. It does feel that way. Minute 45 now going
Now
in.
that he got the heavy as well, ZenAku has nothing to play with. He's been starved out of all of the items. And dramiS, I was hoping he would go a little bit more on the offensive now, instead of waiting for this Mega, because he can just pick up the Mega after. But he's deciding to, you know, play it a bit more safe. And hopefully for him, yep, that's what I was thinking this was going to happen. ZenAku just goes to the lower part of the map, and since there's no pressure, he just goes and destroys all of the totems. But dramiS still in the driver's seat. He has good position. Oh, ZenAku forced to use the dual wheel to try and bully dramiS out of the room, but doesn't quite happen just yet. Oh, in the trail, there was barely an angle there. And dramiS trying to close it out, but ZenAku being very cheeky with his movement. Is there an angle there?
Well, he's got no rockets left, no rails left, barely in the LG ammo.
Yes, no
he's got
ammo.
a shot is perfectly fine, but yeah, as long as it gets a little bit closer, then yeah, then things definitely could have changed. So needs to work on his ammo management a little bit. Has picked up the rockets, haven't really got much LG as of yet. I think he's going to realise that. Yeah, he knows when he's straight away. Nice, good stuff as well. Finally straight with the rockets. Managed to pick up the rail along the way. So able to sort out that ammo department anyway along the way, making that rotation whilst also taking down Zen at the same time. So good use of being proactive. Good first rail coming out from Zen. May come through the TP. He's timed it quite well. Dual wood with the LG as well to stretch insurance. Good stuff from Zen to tie things up.
I think that's a big mistime by dramiS. That was, and again, he's waiting at the heavy 3 seconds before it spawns. So 2 mistimes in a row by dramiS give ZenAku 2 free frags pretty much.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Zen just looking to stay alive. Just pick up the hourglasses in case dramiS keeps them all for himself with his totems layer. Still does know about the one on the second floor near the heavy. Speaking of totems, did face plant into one and took a little bit of damage from the LG, but too bad so far.
That's it, that's good news. Oh, the double rocket and the dual LG doing so much damage, and then the rail at the end. Both players now with the same stack, even though dramiS is the one that picked up all of the major items, thanks to the dual wheel by ZenAku, and he's already in good position to defend this mega health. dramiS should not have any real chance of attacking it. I think dramiS will be more focused in doing what he was doing at the start, just, you know, trying to go for the totem plantation again. He wants to actually attack this heavy, but ZenAku is right on top of him. Oh, he goes in, and ZenAku actually missing the rocket, and he gets somehow railed in the back. Not much health for ZenAku. dramiS is going to go very aggressive right now, for sure. He knows exactly where ZenAku is, and ZenAku being very paranoid with the angles he gives away. I thought he was going to die right there. Oh, and he does get hit with the totem. dramiS is right there, decides not to push because there's a mega spawning, and he favors his stack. Let's see if dramiS will eventually decide to push. Heavy is coming up. ZenAku tried to get there on time, was not able to just yet. Trying to get there from the top. I think he might have heard the timing, so he at least knows the timing on the heavy. But dramiS, I was hoping he would be a little bit more aggressive, because he's been having these kind of opportunities, not taking any advantage from the stack advantage that he may have.
Yeah, Zen back to default. dramiS wasn't too far off until he picked up that Mega. He will be now after taking that last rail. Tiny bit of LG. Just wait to see if he comes with a TP, which he has done. It does run a TP, just in case. Doesn't miss it a little bit. He's going to get the heavy as well. John the back away, left on 2 HP. Surely dramiS is going to finish things off with the driveway. He doesn't. And now he's the one who's also going to be almost as weak, but both of them have picked up the armor anyway, so it's going to take another rail. But
oh my god, I was
damage there.
I was so scared
goodness.
by ZenAku there if he went up the jump pad. I really thought he was going to do it. But yeah, dramiS, again, another opportunity missed. He had everything to get that kill and tie up the game, but not going for the shot, not landing it. Costed him yet another opportunity. And I'm not sure how many more he's going to be able to get.
This is it. Oh, my God. The rocket. That's going to be huge for Zen. He's looking to be quite aggressive. Pushes on forward, uses the dual wood in case he pops on forward anyway. Surely dramiS can't push him. He's waiting to go, and he still continues on anyway. He's the rail as well. dramiS looking to try and get away, and Zen's the one looking to see if he's going to recover from Rocket Room onto Light, which he is not. He's already eaten up the Light for him. Going back through again, dramiS still somehow stay alive. A little bit of damage from the Rocket. Good tri-bolt as well. Still trying to push Venom. He finally able to get the frag. That was just absolute mayhem. But it's going to be Zen who does pick it up. But in the end, face plants totem going to go forward. dramiS looking to, was thinking about it first, but decides to leave it. My goodness, the last 30 seconds have been chaos.
Just pure chaos. You can't tell who's going to win a fight until the fight is actually over. Because so many little things in the middle of the fight are turning them around. But ZenAku with a 2 frag lead. Not really any established control, but he knows the item timings, and that is a great combo by him. 200 damage, and he has the dual wield out. And dramiS does decide to go for the heavy. He does a lot of damage to ZenAku. Both players pretty much on the same stack. Once again, Mega spawning in 5 seconds. Should be easy to collect for ZenAku. Doesn't really have any armor whatsoever. There's the light armor spawning right on cue.
I like that from Zen as well. He just used up all his rockets because he knew that Mega wasn't going to be up for at least 5 seconds. But he had enough rockets to make sure to delay any kind of push coming out from dramiS.
It's a heavy. And ZenAku, another facial rocket that he lands onto dramiS. That's got to be frustrating at some point, right? It's like the 7th he hits this map. He does allow the heavy to go in the way of dramiS, which I find a bit odd, especially after the first rocket. I thought he could have held his ground, but he didn't have good timing on it, so he just decides, I'm going to play it safe, I'm just going to go away, not take any damage, and make sure I can at least collect the Mega, because I'm in the lead. I don't need to take risks right now.
Well, 2 frags required still for dramiS. Just trying to look for an opening, but some of his directs, the rails coming out from Zen, it's not leaving him any leeway at all, but that was a good rocket in itself coming out from Zen. This is unbelievable. How many times
has he hit this combo from the same position? He keeps landing it.
Too many times.
He hits the rocket in the rail and then he switches to the dual wheel shaft and he gets the kill. That's been the name of the game. Over and over again, and with 90 seconds to go, how can a Galena versus a BJ even do this? I don't see it happening.
I don't see either. We have seen some crazy plays coming out from dramiS. He's going to have to start playing over-aggressive soon, though. He's got to try and get 3 frags, and one of them could lead to a death, as they're not going to be the cleanest frags, of course.
Oh my god,
the direct again!
Make it stop! This is disgusting.
But this is saving his bacon every time. He's saving his backside, and more than one, like at least 3 or 4 occasions now. Left on 11 HP. dramiS could still take it down and just out of range. And this is typical.
dramiS even
and he's going to get the heavy as well, maybe. But he's actually left it, decides to prioritize time and just waste as much as possible. And why not?
Oh, ZenAku, I think he's going to apologize to dramiS again after this.
Well, with the amount of long-range directs he's about to hit so far, the rail again is going to take him out. So dramiS does take him down.
2 frags, 30 seconds.
Not
it's
the
still
best
possible.
Either. Yeah.
It's still possible, and let's see. dramiS now getting some help. He has the totem overstack.
He has the dual wield though. This is the problem which dramiS is going to have. 20 seconds left. It's almost mathematically impossible. And now looking to see if he's going to come on up. We'll find him. Knows that he's dropped down below, but it's pretty much mathematically impossible now. Even if he gets this frag, it has to be one of the quickest frags known to man. But just keeping him away, dancing around the pillar, it's just not going to happen at all. Does take him down. 2 seconds left remaining, and that's going to be it. So in the end, Zen does take him by 1 frag, wins the series 2-0, and will be greeted by Razy in the losers finals.
Yeah, what a great game in the end. It was really close, and ZenAku once again managing to just play defensively perfect with hitting a facial rocket again and again on so many occasions, especially at the heavy area, right? He would just rocket to rail to dual wheel shaft combo again and again. It's got to be very frustrating to go up against that.
Well, Zen might as well get comfortable in that chair. He could be there for 1, 2, maybe 3 series, depending on how his lifeline is going to continue in this losers bracket. So we do have the 3 players confirmed. We've still got Maxter now in the grand finals. We have dramiS and ZenAku will be facing off against each other in the losers finals. But all I can say is, you know, commiseration to dramiS. He played extremely well, and you know, the fact that again both these maps went by 1 frag. It's some of the closest series we've seen so far.
He has to be happy with his performance. I mean, he lost to ZenAku both of the times, but the 2 times were due to very facial rockets, really.
Yeah, there was quite a few. What, 4, 5, something like that?
Yeah, a lot of them, really, because all of those situations were close, and ZenAku, I think we're going to see a lot of them in the highlights reel that we're showing now.
Yeah, I wouldn't say too many of them are blind either, because if you think about it, with the over-aggression...
It's just prediction rockets, right?
Yeah, exactly. But
I call it blind because he's not seeing him before he shoots the rocket.
Yeah, of course. But the only problem is like, there's only like 1 or 2 ways. Normally there's 1 way he can come from, and that's what he's going to expect every time.
That occasion that we saw in there, I think that's where dramiS had his best opportunity when he pushed ZenAku to the lower part of the map, but then ZenAku just managed to land to rails, and dramiS missed both of the shots. That's where dramiS could have taken the lead in this map. Somehow not working out for him, and as soon as ZenAku started getting... Look, that's going to be one of those occasions. That's a rocket to rail in the dual wheel shaft to finish it up.
And the funny thing is, sometimes even
again,
dramiS didn't take, even though dramiS didn't take any damage on 1 or 2 of the occasions, Zen would just use that dual as kind of a threat maneuver, just a kind of way of saying like keep away from the heavy. But dramiS would just say no. He would like make sure to contest it to its full potential. And yeah, here we go. We can see from here. I think this might that was actually earlier on with Fingers of Diving. That was actually at the end of the game. But
we barely
always stands around this archway. Yeah, exactly.
It's just very frustrating to go up against someone who's hitting so much defensively. And dramiS tried in a lot of different ways. You know, with the Athena, he was trying with very funky hooks. Didn't quite work out. And here, every time he tried to show up a corner, ZenAku was there to hit the very well landed prediction rocket onto him. The
fact that he kept it to, you know, between 1 frag, taking all those directs, all those predicted rockets. That
shows how well he was playing, like Dragonborn Esports, and he has to be very happy with his performance, because the score does not... both the 2-0s, because he lost 4 maps to ZenAku, but he could have won 3 of them, he could have won 4 of them, he could have won even 2 of them.
All of them, like, you know, this is it. Like, you know, it could have been an entirely different story as well in the slightest. But we will have a look at the bracket for you guys and keep you updated. So sadly, dramiS is out of the tournament. We'll be placing 4th here at KeenCon. It will be dramiS versus ZenAku in the losers finals, which will be the next match. There will also be a best of 3. And as you can see from the other side of the bracket, in terms of the top 8 placements, you see Ram as well. You can see RMV earlier, who lost to CNZ. CNZ sadly lost to ZenAku straight afterwards, and that's how it's led up to this losers finals. And this again is going to be a really close matchup. It's going to be team kill once again, and this will be a team kill, because whoever gets knocked out now, that's their tournament lifeline completely over, and who's going to go through who's going to match max them.
Yeah, I mean, I think myztro Gaming should still be happy. One of their players is going to make it to the grand final. Sadly, it's not going to be both. But dramiS versus ZenAku, we've seen that earlier, and dramiS won with a 2-0. And I don't know, do we have any different predictions?
I said dramiS last time, but then again, it's tough the way Zen's playing at the moment.
It's hard to say anything other than dramiS, just because it's dramiS, right? Yeah. It's almost like if it's Rafa versus anyone, you're always going to say Rafa. If it's dramiS versus anyone, you're almost always going to say dramiS.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless maybe it's the grand final, then you have a better chance if you say the other
We're just going by history and stats alone, aren't we? It's very difficult. Like, even though...
Just going by stats alone.
Exactly, and even if he's beating ZenAku every single time, yeah, sure, it may be 1 or 2 frags every time, but he's still consistently beating him every time. Yeah. That's the difference.
Yeah, so I don't know. I've got to go with dramiS on this one, but ZenAku is playing better and better, and he's someone that usually adapts quite well, especially defensive. And dramiS, the biggest thing he's doing versus ZenAku is every time ZenAku misses an opportunity, dramiS is there to punish him, and dramiS is being very aggressive while doing so. So if ZenAku either starts capitalizing on the opportunities that he has, or he plays even better defensively, then dramiS will start to struggle a bit more.
I think he will do, yeah. And you got to think about the storylines from both these players. Like, of course, we know about razyi's situation coming second, and you know, more times than I can count, fingers and toes. And for ZenAku, though, he's got to a point now where he's like, you know, I'm getting fed up with my placements. I feel like I should be higher than I should be. I should be the one who's now should be at least trying to push myself to the grand finals or push these boundaries here. So you've got two players who've got, you know, very, very high expectations of where they should be placing. Like razyi, of course, wanting to get that first place finish here. ZenAku looking to, you know, try and push himself further to at least make it to one of his first grand finals. So you can see the storylines are very similar, but just from different paths.
I mean, even getting, even if ZenAku doesn't win any more games, getting third place is already pretty good for him. Yeah. But getting to the grand finals would definitely be a big achievement for him.
Yeah, it certainly would do, and I think
that would unleash the true potential of ZenAku.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm rooting for that story. I want to see the true Australian ZenAku come into play.
Yeah, I think we'll be seeing that. We'll be seeing that at some point. As we know that for Zen, you know, he'll be content with top 3, but he'll know in the back of his mind he could have really pushed that further. I think that's the that's what he's going to be feeling. Like, you know, right now in the instance if he does, you know, fail in the losers finals at the, you know, one of the final hurdle leads in the grand finals, he'll be kicking himself a bit, but after this he'll be like, okay, yeah, no, I didn't do too bad, I played okay, I wish could have done better, but at least I got what I realistically potentially should have got.
Yeah, but okay, yeah, that's the thing. But I when I see ZenAku, I see all the potential that he has, and I always want him to, you know, be more ambitious and, you know, be more confident and go for the win every time. I don't want him to settle for anything less than the win.
Yeah, I don't blame him at all. Like, I do understand that. Of course, you don't come here to get top 3. In your mindset, you know, you want to be one of the favourites to come here, and rightly so. Like, we've seen it before in previous matchup. Ever since he played razyi in Rafa, he's taken to a game 5 pretty much every single time, especially the last few months. And even during the off season, he's still looking very solid. razyi's going to be well aware of that, and with Zen now watching razyi's matchup earlier on, he's going to get an idea of the picks and bans as well.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder how the picks and bans are going to go this time around, because I think in the previous time that they played, razyi was actually the unfavored one in the picks and bans, and he still somehow made it work. I remember the Visor versus Sorlag in Awoken. I thought that was completely in ZenAku's favor, but he was not aggressive enough to be able to take advantage of that. So if the picks and bans go slightly more in favor of razyi this time around, I'm a bit scared for ZenAku.
Yeah, just a tad. It's like I mentioned before, even though every single map score is by 1 or 2 frags or something ridiculously close, it doesn't change the fact that he's been beaten every single time with that scoreline. There's a reason why he's beaten by that smaller one every time. We know that they're very close in terms of skill, but the problem is now he's matched him before. He's seen his matchup against myztro. He's got more than enough information to try and decide exactly how he wants to change his picks and bans. And they've said himself, I kind of feel like Zen does choose his picks and bans a bit better compared to razyi, but still razyi does come out on top even though he's in that kind of situation.
Yeah, because their skill set really, razyi has that killer instinct. He knows how to recognize opportunities. He's very good defensively. He's very good aggressively. He's scary. As I said, he's like the most consistent player there is. And ZenAku is the second most consistent player, pretty much. And I want him to, you know, surpass that barrier. I'm here to support my boy ZenAku, even though he hates me.
Oh, he loves you really, deep down. Don't you worry about that. And there's the thing with razyi, you know, great balance overall, and the difference between the two is the hesitation, isn't it?
Yes,
you know, lack of hesitation, none of it from razyi.
Lack of confidence, really.
Yeah.
Because that's what leads to hesitation. So I'm here to see ZenAku potential unlocked.
Hopefully none at this point. It's like, this is where you've got to be a little bit more reactionary. If you feel like you're going to do it, just do it. Like, you know, you've got to go by your gut instincts. And we do have the highlights here from this previous series. If you've just joined us, it was in lights of dramiS and ZenAku earlier on. And this was also between razyi himself. And they had, you know, a great series in the winners semis. And the fact that we get to see it again, it's going to be a real treat.
Yeah, we're just going to be looking at the highlight reels from most of the games today. Just a lot of really cool frags. And Maxer, I remember this frag when razyi didn't know where Maxer was going to come from, and Maxer with 5 HP. And Maxer just has that aura of confidence, right? He just always looks very confident. He plays very confident. If he has 5 HP, if he knows he can get the shot, he will still try to go for it. And most of the times he will hit because he has incredible rail aim.
He certainly does. And Maxter, the only person who's really challenged him in that department was RMV earlier on, which just shows that level of confidence again. But Max is just looking so dangerous. The fact that in terms of being his comfort zone, that's what he was in. And razyi in the past was able to, you know, put him on a leash and put him in control. didn't see any of that in their previous series.
Yeah, because Maxer just keeps evolving as well, and as I mentioned earlier, he's someone that every time he plays, he will not commit the same mistakes that he did previously, and he keeps polishing himself more and more, and that's why he's quickly becoming one of the contenders for the titles.
Yeah, it seems to be that way, just more and more just going beyond expectations here. Just looking at more of these highlights from earlier